The Shenzhen-Zhongshan link opens to traffic after 7 years of construction. Locally, MTR fares go up. And in France, National Assembly elections now underway. Good evening and welcome to TVB News. The Shenzhen-Zhongshan link was put into service at 3 p.m. today. President Xi Jinping congratulated the launch of the link through a letter. Most Nine reports.
After 7 years of construction, the Shenzhen-Zhongshan link was officially opened to traffic today. A TVB news team set off on a journey to Zhongshan from Hong Kong. We drove to Shenzhen Bayport, then Qianhai Bay, to reach the east artificial island of the Shenzhen-Zhongshan link. Next, we entered the undersea tunnel that is 6.8 kilometers in length. Traffic was slow inside the tunnel. After leaving the tunnel, we reached the West Artificial Island, then a landmark, the 1,666-meter-long Shenzhen-Zhongshan Bridge. The bridge is 91 meters above sea level, which is roughly 26 stories high. A woman filmed the journey by standing up inside a car. There are direction signs for motorists, with one way going to the city center of Zhongshan and the other to Cui-Heniu area, Zhongshan. The entire journey from Shenzhen to Zhongshan took around an hour, longer than the official estimated time of 30 minutes. Meanwhile, another TVB team began their road trip in Zhongshan. There was traffic congestion even before we began our journey. The team waited outside the toll booths for about 2 hours before arriving at the Shenzhen-Zhongshan Bridge. To celebrate the opening of the new cross-sea passage in South China, a ceremony was held in the morning. According to China Central Television, President Xi Jinping sent a congratulatory letter. Xi praised the hard work of those who participated in the planning and construction of the mega project. These coaches were prepared for construction workers and the family members to have a first-hand experience of the new transport link before it was opened to the public. News 9, TVB News.
Residents can now travel to Zhongshan much easier with the opening of the Shenzhen-Zhongshan link. This is a coach that travels between Hong Kong and Zhongshan. The starting point is in Kuntong. In the past, the coach had to go to Humen Bridge first before arriving in Zhongshan. With the opening of the Shenzhen-Zhongshan link, the coach uses the new route. Some residents decided to take the coach to experience the new link. This man is a fan of Zhongshan. He said the city is pretty and has a good environment, adding it is an ideal place for retirement. While the coach driver said the journey will take around 30 minutes, traffic was not as smooth as expected. There are also other new transport options to get to Zhongshan. For instance, people can take buses and Fan Ling to reach the Hengyunwai control point, while in Shenzhen, they can take a train from Liangtang Station to Qianhaiwai Station. Free rides too for individuals who are age 60 or above. They can then pay 18 yuan to take cross-city public transport to reach the city center of Zhongshan. Locally, MTR fares went up today, an increase of over 3% on average. Most passengers will have to pay an extra 50 cents for their tickets. The hike was made in accordance with the MTR's fare adjustment mechanism. Prices for 80% of rides went up to 40 cents, while 90% of rides saw increases of less than 50 cents. For example, passengers traveling from Kuntong to Shimsha-Chui using the Octopus card will now have to pay $9.20, which is 30 cents more expensive than before. Those traveling from Taiwan to Lawu will now have to pay $54.40, an increase of $1.40. A man died after he was suspected to have his throat slit while he was asleep in his Cheongkwon-ho home. His wife was arrested on suspicion of murder. Police said the suspect suffered from severe depression after giving birth. Her mental state will be taken into account during their investigation.
The suspected murder took place at a marina unit in Lohas Park. Authorities said around 11 p.m. last night, a 33-year-old woman was suspected to have used a 30-centimeter-long knife to slit her 30-year-old husband's throat while he was sleeping on the living room couch. After committing the act, the woman called her father-in-law, who immediately alerted the police. Sources said the woman tried to commit suicide by jumping off the building. Officers arrived at the scene and found the man lying on the sofa with a 20-centimeter-long knife wound on the left side of his neck. He was unconscious and was surrounded by large amounts of blood. He was certified dead at hospital. Authorities found the female suspect in the unit's bedroom. The wife was arrested on suspicion of murder and was sent to hospital for treatment after she said she felt unwell. Police noted the suspect works as an office clerk and that her husband was an IT engineer. The pair married 5 years ago and have a son aged around 1, who was staying with his grandparents at the time of the alleged murder. Authorities said the couple did not have a record of infighting, with neighbors claiming they have never heard the two arguing. The police currently suspect the woman killed her husband as a result of mental health reasons, noting that she suffered from severe depression after giving birth and occasionally sought help from private doctors. Authorities believe the incident did not involve any money-related problems.
Polling stations have opened in France as the country holds the first round of parliamentary elections that could see the first far-right government since Nazi occupation in World War II. The second round is on July 7th, and the outcome of the vote remains highly uncertain. President Emmanuel Macron called an early vote after the far-right National Rally's convincing victory in European Parliament elections earlier in June. Nasvi Karim with more.
French people across the country are voting to decide if President Emmanuel Macron will retain full power or be forced to share it with this man, 28-year-old Jordan Bardella, seen voting here in Hauts-de-Seine, which forms part of the western suburbs of Paris. Bardella is a protege of Marine Le Pen, head of the far-right National Rally, or RN. Opinion polls all point to a so-called cohabitation with RN, where the president and prime minister are from different parties. RN is confident of winning an absolute majority in snap parliamentary elections. Macron called elections after his centrist party's crushing defeat at the recent European Parliament elections. Even if RN does win, Macron has vowed to remain as president, which would lead to only the third cohabitation period in France. This time, however, it would involve two men at polar opposites in terms of political views. Bardella is likely to oppose Macron on almost everything from the economy to immigration, with RN seen as anti-Muslim and anti-foreigners. Many voters say Macron is arrogant and out of touch. RN also has a history of being pro-Russian, and though they support Ukraine in the war, they oppose Macron sending long-range weapons to Kiev. An RN victory will also have a major impact on France's relations with the European Union.
Nevertheless, the impact on the EU will be strong. Mrs. Le Pen is a friend of the Russian. It will have an impact on the relation with Russia and our involvement on the war in Ukraine. It will have an impact of the development of the European Union. She is not a fan of Europe.
The election is over 2 rounds. The first round is likely to indicate overall sentiment and will prompt parties to forge alliances for the second round. The whole process will end on July 7th, when the makeup of the 577-seat assembly will be finalized. RN leads in opinion polls with 33 to 36%, ahead of the hastily put together coalition New Popular Front with 28 to 31%, and Macron's alliance trailing at 20 to 23%. Nasvi Karim, TVB News.
In Germany, protesters took to the streets of Essen on Saturday as the far-right Alternative for Germany, or AfD, party opened a convention after a strong performance in the recent European Parliament elections. AfD took 15.9% of the June 9th elections to finish second, despite a series of scandals and setbacks in recent months. At the regular 2-day convention in Essen, co-leaders Alice Weidel and Tino Kruppala held onto their roles after winning another term in office. A heavy police presence was in place in the city, where local authorities had tried to find a way to prevent the AfD event but lost their case in court. Protesters staged sit-ins on streets and crossings near the convention hall. Several AfD lawmakers said they had been picked up by police from their hotel and escorted to the venue, while other delegates were able to walk there without problems. 2 NASA astronauts will stay longer at the International Space Station as engineers troubleshoot problems that cropped up during their trip to the orbiting station on board Boeing's new space capsule. The test flight of Boeing's Starliner was expected to last a week or so, but now NASA will not set a return date until testing on the ground is complete, saying the astronauts are safe. More from NBC News.
Tonight, high above Earth's atmosphere, 2 astronauts are waiting to find out when they can return home.
Let's go forward into Starliner.
At the time, NASA astronauts Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore gave this tour of Boeing's Starliner. Docked since June 6th at the International Space Station, they thought they'd only be there for days.
Just super happy to be here on the International Space Station.
But now, after a series of delays, a planned 10-day mission has become a weeks-long stay, with a return date unknown. NASA fighting back on suggestions that the astronauts are stuck.
I want to make it very clear that Butch and Sonny are not stranded in space. Our plan is to continue to return them on Starliner and return them home at the right time.
It was just under a month ago when Boeing Starliner launched into the skies for its historic test flight, but helium leaks and thruster issues since are delaying its return. NASA, Boeing saying that to leave the ISS now would mean the evidence would burn in the atmosphere upon re-entry, so they need time to study the root cause, and they insist time is on their side.
How much time do they realistically have?
So there's plenty of food, there's plenty of resources up there, there's plenty of clothing. They will be absolutely fine for an extended period of time.
NASA and Boeing are looking at extending the mission window to 90 days, but say the astronauts are in no danger, and Starliner has been cleared to return in the case of emergency. But with pressure mounting to find the cause of the thruster issues, they'll start ground testing the thrusters in New Mexico as soon as Tuesday, but that could take weeks. And how quickly they move through those tests will likely determine when these astronauts
I'll go first and you follow me.
Get the green light to come back Earthside. Marissa Para, NBC News.
Still ahead, an assailant killed in a crossbow attack on a policeman guarding Israel's embassy in the Serbian capital. And a visit to cultural melting pot in Xinjiang. Welcome back. Serbian police have made a subsequent arrest after a man was shot dead while attacking a policeman with a crossbow. The officer was guarding the Israeli embassy in Belgrade. Authorities are treating the incidents as terrorism. The Serbian president visited the injured police officer, who says he shot and killed the attacker in self-defense. David Garrett reports.
Men in white forensic suits continue investigations at the scene of Saturday's crossbow attack. In a Lethe area of Belgrade, the body of the assailant, shot dead by the armed officer on guard, was removed from the pavement and taken away. The attacker has been named Sulahuddin Zujovic, in his 20s, from central Serbia. He converted to Islam and was known to the Interior Ministry. Officials say the attacker specifically targeted the Israeli embassy and not the policeman who he injured. The policeman guarding the Israeli building was approached several times by Zujovic, who asked for directions. Then he produced a crossbow and shot the officer in the neck. The officer fired back, killing the attacker. 34-year-old Milos Yevremovic was conscious when transported to Belgrade's main hospital. Israel's ambassador expressed gratitude. No employees of the embassy were hurt. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić visited the recovering officer, telling Yevremovic he was glad to see him alive. "We are hunting them down, and it's a matter of time," the president told him. "In Serbia, we have no mercy for terrorism." David Garrett, TVB News.
With the handover anniversary just around the corner, a multi-ethnic carnival celebrating the occasion was held by the New Home Association and several other ethnic minority organizations. Some of the community's leaders noted a major improvement in intercultural relations since Hong Kong's handover.
Hong Kong will soon celebrate its 27th anniversary of the handover, but it's not just the ethnic Chinese population that's reveling. A joint effort between the New Home Association, an organization providing support for new arrivals and ethnic minorities, and other bodies representing the community, held a multi-ethnic carnival welcoming the special day. Organizers wish to showcase how many in the ethnic minority community, especially the youth, have embraced their country. Some of the community's leaders emphasized an improvement of ties between members of their community and the ethnic Chinese population.
The government has been pouring a lot of resources for Chinese language learning, and also, extra resources for the career and life development for the ethnic minorities. So definitely, if you compare these 27 years and the past, there is a significant change. You would see there are more, Chinese individuals want to learn more about food, and also they would visit the barber shop to have a fete.
Meanwhile, some ethnic minority business representatives spoke positively of the new business opportunities for the city's ethnic minorities upon Hong Kong's integration into the Greater Bay Area.
In Hong Kong, we have only the small market of Hong Kong. So now we are jumping into the big market. I'm looking forward to jump into the GBA and do more business. I'm also thankful to Halal government of Hong Kong to promoting halal, because in this way, Middle East countries, and especially from Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysian business people will come to Hong Kong, and if they find their food easily, more people will come.
आज के दिन Hong Kong China को handover हुआ था. That's how we mark the handover anniversary in Urdu. Several members of the ethnic minority community urged authorities to offer more opportunities to local Chinese residents to learn about the cultures and customs to better facilitate intercultural harmony.
China is a big country made up of many ethnicities. Jackie Lind visited a small multi-ethnic community in Xinjiang with unique characteristics.
This is Liuxing Street in Yining City, Xinjiang, which means 6-star street. Apart from being well known for its hexagon-shaped street design, it is also a cultural melting pot. There are some 13 ethnic groups among the 3,600 residents. They include Han Chinese, Uyghur, Kazakh, Russian, Tatar, Hui, among others. This bakery in Liuxing Street brings together people from different ethnic backgrounds. Bakery owner Lilia is of Russian descent. She says she is often asked by visitors, including Hong Kong tourists, why she speaks Putonghua so well. The architecture and ambience also reflect Liuxing Street's East meets West characteristic. This Hong Kong tourist said she was surprised to see how friendly and carefree Xinjiang people are. Another multicultural influence is on the food. This shop sells Uzbek ice cream, which is a national intangible cultural heritage. Another national intangible cultural heritage and an example of cultural exchange is the bayan. It is a Russian accordion instrument popular in Liuxing Street and the wider Ili Autonomous Prefecture. The bayan often plays music that encompasses Han Chinese, Kazakh, and Hui cultural elements. It takes around 7 to 8 hours to reach Ili from Urumqi, but if you take a domestic flight, it takes only around 1 hour and 20 minutes. Local authorities are also planning to undertake expansion works on this airport to further promote its tourism industry. Jackie Lin, TVB News, Xinjiang.
And that's the news. Thanks for watching.